Hey everyone. Excuse me. Yeah, it's Saturday, the 20th of August, 2016. I've got about literally 3 hours to go before I have to leave for work. So I thought I'd kind of talk about this for a second. First of all, it's a bit of a reply, I guess you say a reply to Jawbreaker's video that he did with Gone for the Fur Theater. And I want to kind of thank Jawbreaker for sort of using that as a response to the video I did. Now, I stand by what I said in that video because, kidding or not, why would you want to mess with, 20 years of his character history? I mean, I understand, Marvel and DC and Image and IDW and all of them doing it, with some of their characters that have been around for not just 20 years, but for 30, 40, 50 years, because they want to change with the times. But here's the thing, kidding or not, why would he want it? Why would Ian Flynn even consider that? And I think the reason he would consider that is because he wants to work a way around the whole Sally Sonic deal. Now, true, he says he's done with the shipping and the pairing and all that because of the fact that if you could do one pairing, have one saying, whatever, one action, you're going to get a response. And you can't really blame the guy for not wanting anything to do with that. But it's not entirely the fans. It is the fans' fault, but not entirely. You see, whether we like Ken Penders or we don't, Ken Penders, when he first started with the comic, kind of started to do a little bit of a balance that was similar to what you saw in Saturday AM. In other words, you knew Sonic and Sally were together as a couple, but they weren't shoved in your face. They weren't pushed in your face. You know what I mean? It was balanced out to where you knew it, but it wasn't in your face. Carl Bowlers comes around, and that totally gets tossed out the window. Ken Penders takes back over, and he just has to work with what he's got. And then Ian Flynn, he comes on board, and he basically starts to slowly repair it. Now, true, the Iron Dominion arc didn't really do any favors when he did the whole Sally, Ken Kong, Monkey Kong deal. But like I said before with that, and I'll say it again, that was only being done as something similar to, let's say, Zach Morris in Saved by the Bell falling in love with another female character that's only on the show or in the movie that's based on Saved by the Bell, and that's it. Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style, the Saved by the Bell episodes where they got summer jobs on the beach. Those are prime examples. And that's mainly what, Sally's relationship with Monkey Kong was in that Iron Dominion arc. Mainly for a one-time deal. It was a one-time deal, that was it. Now, true, they alluded to it a little bit with 222 and everything, but, but possibly, they kind of alluded to that possibility a little bit still between the two, but basically after Iron Dominion, Ian Flynn slowly but surely started to rebuild the relationship. And you see it throughout the issues leading up to 222. And I may not agree with some of the Ian Flynn's decisions, believe me. I didn't like the whole Mecha Sally deal, believe me on that. But I think what Ian wanted to do originally was maybe his plan was to balance it out just like Ken Penders did. Now, true, when he put them back together with 222, building up to it and then doing the thing with 222, had he originally gone through with his plans for 225 to where instead of 230, at the end of 230, Sally would end up being roboticized, and instead it would be at the end of 225, the reason he wanted to do that was to add a little bit more emotional weight. And that emotional weight was to kind of show how strong that connection is between the two. And I think in a sense was to try to let the fans that may be against a Sonic Sally pairing know that this is the reason why they work together. You get that emotional bond that you wouldn't get with a Sonic Amy pairing or Sonic Blaze pairing or whatever. You get a more stronger emotional bond between the two. And I think that's what he wanted to work towards. And then after it was all said and done, kind of like I say, balance it out to where it was very similar to what Ken Penders did, and very much an accoling to Sad AM. Now, I've said before that I still think they are a couple, even in the soft retcon reboot. It's just not really in your face. And I think that's mainly why I believe Ian Flynn has said he's done. That maybe he has kind of put it together, if you will. He's kind of thrown out little hints and everything that there might be something there. But mainly it's just done. Mainly, I believe he's. What I'm trying to say is, mainly he's put them together, but just not in a way that makes it look like it. I think that's what it is, because they do interact at times, kind of like they used to. So it's still there. It's just not as prevalent as it used to be. It's a lot less than what like Penders and Sad AM had done, but it's still there. And like I said, he throws hints there, here and there, to prove that. But he also throws hints here and there of other possibilities for Sally, as well as even for Sonic. And that's why, again, like I said, why I think he's kind of says he's done with the shipping and the pairing, because maybe in a sense he's already put Sonic and Sally together, but it's not in a way that makes it look like it's in your face. If you catch my drift, doesn't he? It's not even on par, if you will, to what they had with Sad AM and what Penders did to make it similar to Sad AM. It's it's there, but it's not on that same par. Now, as far as him going with kidding or not with Sally and Nicole being a lesbian couple, like I said, why? Like I said in the video, why would you even consider that? Politics and stuff aside, if you were strongly considering that, then if you want it to happen, stick by your guns. Keep trying to push for it. Try to keep pushing for it. But you know why he doesn't push for it? Because one, it's not the backlash the fans would give him. It's not the possible rejection that Sega and Archie would give him. It's the fact that he knows, I believe in my opinion, Ian Flynn knows that it's not the right thing to do. That you can't just toss away 20 years plus of character just for that. You could try, but he also knows fans are so adjusted. He said it in his first episode of the Bumblecast. He knows fans are adjusted to Sally being with Sonic. Even though he's done that little brief fling she had with Monkey Kong in the Iron Dominion arc, they know she's primarily Sonic's girl. And that's why, like I said earlier, I think he did put them back together. It's just not as prevalent or in your face as before. So, that's why it doesn't look like there's, a relationship there or not, a relationship there beyond friendship. But there is. You could sense that already. Now, again, I can understand why some fans might, not take a nod towards, Ian's idea of doing Sally and Nicole as a lesbian couple, mainly because of that emotional connection the two have, and that is true. You take a look at how, Sally embraced Nicole towards the end, after she saved them in the digital world at the end of Spark of Life. You saw the emotion she had when she thought Nicole had gone offline permanently in part 2 of Panic in the Sky. The point is, I can understand, and so can anybody else can understand, why they would feel this way. Why they would actually acknowledge acknowledge that this is kind of what Ian wants to do. Or at least this is why I think they wouldn't have a problem with it. Why some fans, that even if the Sonic Sally supporters or Sonic Amy supporters, or what have you, wouldn't have a problem with this. Because it's like, okay, Sonic Amy fans would be like, hey, give Sally to Nicole. Let's leave the door open, right? Not entirely, because Amy can't even be with Sonic. Let's face that. Let's realize that. But still, the point is, I don't. This is why, like I said, some fans wouldn't be against it, because it's like you see that there, and I believe, in a sense, that Ian is throwing those connections, those moments between Sally and Nicole out there as a hint at the fact that this is what he wanted to do, that this is what he still wants to try to do, maybe, but he's not pushing that envelope just yet. But like I said, he's not pushing that envelope just yet, and that was my alarm that went off if you heard that. But like I said, he's not pushing that envelope just yet. But if he does eventually come around and decide to either go back and fully, slowly push the Sonic-Sally relationship, make it more noticeable, like, yeah, they are a couple, or if he decides that, okay, I'm going to try this, see what happens, and if I get backlash for it, and I lose my job for it, fine, at least I went out with a bang, try to do Sally and Nicole. But still, again, like I said, you see these little hints here and there with Sonic and Sally, and even with Sally and Nicole, that he already acknowledged, he's already hinting that there is something there, between the two. Like with Sonic and Sally, like I said, he's hinting in a sense, and again, it may not be as prevalent or as in your face, but he's hinting at the fact that they are still a couple. It's just not as prevalent or in your face or on par as what it was with Satyam and what Penders had done when he started. But when it comes to the Nicole Sally moments, like with Spark of Life, recently with 285 and all that, he's throwing these moments out there to kind of acknowledge to the fan base that this is what he wants to do, but he won't do it. And it's not because he can't do it, he could, but it's mostly because he doesn't want to chance the backlash he'll get, not just from the fan base, but from Sega and Archie. Archie probably wouldn't have a problem. It's Sega that would have a problem. Because if there's anything Ian Flynn may have learned, is that you don't do anything without Sega's approval. Case in point, when Ken Penders tried to kill Sally off in Endgame, they got a huge backlash. He got a huge backlash, not just from the fans, but from Sega themselves. And this was at a time, I believe, because Sega had her as a prominent character in the Sega in Sydney, in the indoor Sega theme park in Sega World in Sydney, Australia. She was a big merchandise seller there, believe it or not. And I have one of her plushes to prove it. But the point is, folks, and Jawbreaker, I know you're listening, it's more along the lines of, I think, kidding or not, when you take a look at the moments between Sally and Nicole, I think that's his way of acknowledging this is what he wanted to do, and this is probably as close as we're going to get to maybe seeing that come to a reality. But when you see the moments between Sonic and Sally, I believe, in my opinion, he's acknowledging that they are still together, but it's not on par or prevalent as when Penders was on board when he first started, or when Satyam was originally going. Now, one thing Jawbreaker does bring up, and he's right, we are the paying customers. We spend, if we're subscribers, $25, $24, $26 a year, if not more so, for 2 years, because of the fact that we want, because we want to support this comic, but we want to support it by seeing great stories and maybe getting stuff that we want to see. It's kind of like anchoring to a wrestling fan. Wrestling fans will talk with the money. They'll talk with the wallets. And if you don't give them what they want, they'll either ask for refunds, they'll hold shows hostage, or if you will, by taking it over, and doing this and that, through them and the rest of the crowd. They'll find certain ways to kind of protest, not liking what you're giving them. And when you finally give them what they want, they'll pay you back with their wallets and the compliments and the praise. So to me, Jawbreaker does have a point. We are the paying customer. We should somewhat get what we want. You shouldn't be afraid not to give the fans what they want. Now, the thing is, according to the mandate, Sonic can't be in a steady relationship. He can't settle down. It doesn't mean he can't be in a relationship. Key word there, can't be. See, he can't be in a steady relationship. In other words, where it's always about, where it's similar to, let's say, Spider-Man, Mary Jane, or a Cyclops, Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Phoenix. You know, it can't. It's not like, you know. It doesn't have to be. You know, that there is a steady relationship. Those are examples right there of a steady relationship. Like I said, Spider-Man, Mary Jane. They said Spider-Man, Mary Jane, Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Phoenix. You know, those are steady relationships in a sense. Sally and Sonic don't have to be similar to that. They can be in a relationship, but it doesn't have to be like, oh, we're always together. I always got to be with you. Da 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 da. No, what it can be primarily is similar to what we saw in Sat AM. You know, it's basically, you know, the relationship, but it can be put to the side. It doesn't have to be a steady one, but at least they acknowledge that they are, they are an item, but they also know that they can put that relationship on the side and just be friends when the moment is needed, or when the time is needed. So that right there is what I look at when, you know, the mandates say he can't be in a steady relationship. Keyword is steady. Doesn't mean he can't be in a relationship. He can be. It just can't always be similar to, like I said, a Spider-Man and Mary Jane one. So I think that's the key word that Ian Flynn is overlooking, is steady. You take that out, you could put him in a relationship, but it doesn't have to be something that's like, oh, Sonic's always got to be with Sally and vice versa, you know, because, you know, they are together and all that. No, they can have a relationship, but it doesn't have to be, you know, one that's similar to what it was. It doesn't have to be one that's similar to a Mary Jane Spider-Man or Scott Summers Jean Grey. That's what I'm trying to say. So, but basically, that's all I'm going to say here in my response to Jawbreaker's video. Thank you, Jawbreaker, for doing that video. Let me know if you might respond with this in a video.